want to see also how Wikileaks has affected you personally. I mean, it seems like, and pardon me, that if this perception is probably wrong, but it seems like you lived in a kind of matrix, in an underworld, in the world of hackers, and then suddenly you put your head into the real world, and these dramatic changes come to your life. How would you talk about how has Wikileaks changed your personal life?
This is to a degree a myth. I have been a public person since I was 20 years old. In one degree or another, famous mainly only in Australia, but within a particular subculture of people using technology to achieve political reform, well known for many years. So I was a computer hacker, and I started my first magazine as a late teenager, but that was a long time ago, and I spent 6 years going through a court process about that magazine in my early 20s. But after this, I set up the first parts of the Australian internet industry, and was involved in promoting and engineering the internet in many different ways all over the world, and then securing human rights workers using advanced cryptography. And all these things eventually came together on these different paths to produce Wikileaks as a solution to what I saw as a problem in the world, in that the decisions that we were making as societies was based on a lack of knowledge.
Mm.
And we must know how the world really works if we are to manage it properly. And we have some good knowledge about the weather and about chemistry and physiology and medicine and all those other wonderful things that science and engineering give us. But they are all managed by institutions and governments.
Mm-hmm.
And we do not have strong knowledge about institutions and governments and how they work in a modern society. Until we have strong knowledge about how our management systems work and our political systems work, we cannot possibly promote particular political theories or courses of action about how to deal with them.
Do you think that is why you're being, or do you feel you're being, like, I don't know the exact word in English, but chased would be that, prosecuted? I mean...
well, I mean, Wikileaks over the past 4 years has revealed a lot of very important information about over 120 different countries. But the response to us is also revealing important information. So we have on the one hand Hillary Clinton saying censorship is bad and the internet must not be censored, to countries like China and Iran. And we have on the other the State Department applying pressure to many different organizations to stop us. And that includes, sort of most dramatically, these economic blockades set up by Visa, MasterCard, Bank of America, PayPal, Money Bookers, Western Union, and so on, as well as pressure applied to US companies like Amazon to not deal with any of our technical infrastructure, moves to try and add me personally and Wikileaks to the US Specially Designated Persons list, which is a similar embargo arrangement to that used on Cuba and on Al-Qaeda. Bills in the US Senate to declare us a transnational threat, to make us all enemy combatants so that we can be targeted like Al-Qaeda. And all of these things merely for publishing.
Before you went in into this, especially into these three packages and the fourth that they say is about to come. But did you see yourself in this risk? Weren't you afraid of ending up in prison like Bradley Manning did? Or I mean,
yes, we
you have grand jury in the United
we
States.
saw this risk very clearly. We have engaged in many different maneuvers and strategies to try and minimize the risk. But we were all aware that the value of this information exceeds the value of our own lives.
I have just two more questions.
And that it must be published at all costs. There was a time when the Pentagon, the State Department, US intelligence was chasing me and investigating all of us prior to the publication of the diplomatic cables, where we were not certain that we would win, where we were not certain that the information would be published eventually.
Would you do it again?
Of course.
Yes?
Yeah.
Even though now that you know the risks are big?
Well, the risks are big, but I mean, yes, that there is a brewing US extradition case. There is a Swedish extradition case. Our people are detained every time they go over the US border. But if we look at the risks taken by the revolutionaries in Cairo and in Egypt, and in Cairo and in Tunisia and elsewhere, actually what we are suffering from is rather minor in comparison.
The other side of the coin is that you have become one of the most famous people around the world. Rolling Stones named you Rockstar of the Year. What do you think, in moral terms, that you should do with this fame that you have?
It's always a privilege to have an audience, and this is something that I said before this intense level of fame. So we are at a luxurious position now of being able to promote the material that whistleblowers are giving us as a result of our own fame as an organisation.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with a lot of costs. So the cost that it comes with is it's very hard to speak to anyone anymore, because every conversation is worth
a risk.
Every conversation is worth money. It can be spun. Every meeting that I have, people can misreport, and there's an economy and an enemy to support that. So it has made us rather reclusive, which is difficult. On the other hand, it has given us a tremendous platform from which to promote our values.
And from a historical perspective, how do you see your role in the world?
The way history is progressing is changing. So we can see what our role in the world might be using the formula of the history that has occurred in the last 50 years. But the way history will unfold in the next 50 years is going to be very, very different. But we're very proud of our accomplishments and very proud of having stuck to our values so strongly against incredible opposition. And that is something I cannot see changing.
Okay.